us now with more on all this. Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. I mean, he's basically saying do what you want.
Well, he believes that he didn't do anything wrong, right. And indeed in the blogs and in large portions of American society, and I am in this group, he is a hero who exposed the most extraordinary violations of the Fourth Amendment in the history of the country, that the government thinks it could somehow justify looking at the phone calls and emails over 100 million Americans is mind-boggling. Right. The Fourth Amendment directly prohibits it. On the other hand, the government has enacted laws, the Patriot Act, which permit it to go before judges in secret. There's no records kept of what these judges do that are available to the public, and using a standard lower than what the Fourth Amendment requires. Fourth Amendment requires evidence of crime in order to get a search warrant. This Patriot Act standard requires we're looking for terrorists. That's no standard at all. Using that standard, it authorizes the judges to authorize the federal government to snoop on Americans. But the level of this snooping is extraordinary. If he's telling the truth, and the government hasn't denied anything, he could have captured the keystrokes of the President of the United States, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, admirals and generals and police chiefs and librarians and homemakers and anybody he wanted.
But, Judge, I understand the concern that the government has gone too far in its collection of data. But this man went to Hong Kong, essentially China. And if he stays there, potentially an adversary, whether economically or one day militarily, now has access to an individual who had access to all of this information about how we gather intelligence. That puts us at a detriment, doesn't it? I mean, he chose to go there as opposed to stay here.
I don't know why he went to China, Adam, because the United States has an extradition treaty with China. It's a bilateral extradition treaty, and it's been used both ways. We've sent people there, and they've sent people here for ordinary criminal prosecution. Obviously, our criminal prosecution is different than theirs. I think he knows, and he ought to know, that the government is serious about wanting to prosecute him. I don't see treason as the charge. I don't even see espionage as the charge. But I certainly see a violation of the secrecy laws as the charge. He took an oath to retain to himself what he learned, and he violated that oath. He believes he did it for a higher good. A lot of people will agree with that.
But he chose an undemocratic country. He chose a communist country to uphold democratic principles. I mean, that just seems...
I think he chose the communist country because he wanted to escape the federal government. But as he said in his interview, the CIA, he knows where they are, is right up the block from where I am now.
Right.
They know where I am. I know where they are. If they want me, they can come and get me.
He's doing all these paranoia things, pillows at the door, hood on when he puts in passwords. What could ostensibly happen to this guy?
Well, I think the government will probably charge him with espionage, which is basically giving secrets to the enemy in a manner to harm us. Now, the government has to prove that was his intent. Right. It doesn't appear that that was his intent. The government would have to prove it. That would be overcharging him. Right. But the government usually, even in street crime, overcharges, that is, charges for more than what they think the evidence will bear, because the end result is usually a plea agreement or a jury verdict somewhere less than what they've charged, but in the area where they want. So they'll charge him with violating the secrecy laws. Okay. And they'll charge him with espionage. I don't think they'll charge him with treason. His defense is going to be, I did the right thing. I was a whistleblower. Right. The American public was entitled to know this. If a judge lets him make that defense, and if a jury buys it, he'll walk free. If the judge doesn't let him make that defense, there's not much of a defense.
What happens if he...
No, but it sounds like he very well could walk free, imagine.
If a judge permits that defense, the fact that he would have to get himself characterized as a whistleblower. In order to do that, he would have to satisfy a judge that there's at least an argument that the government violated the Constitution.
Right. And if he asked for some kind of amnesty to the Chinese, do we have some kind of international incident?
That would not be a country in which he could get it because of the treaty. He would have to go to a country with which we don't have a treaty, like Iceland, and ask for it there.
We're going to have the judge back because he will be following this story. I know. Judge Andrew Napolitano, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.